Hello and welcome back to the Start Simple podcast. You might be able to hear this in my voice. I'm a little bit smiley and excited, and it's because, well, some of you will be watching this because the podcast is back, and I want to bring it back better. I want to put, if I'm honest, I want to put more effort into it, and that's a little bit more about what this episode is going to be about. So you're now going to be able to watch it on YouTube. You're going to be able to see me. I know, you poor thing, you are going to have to look at my face. But I'm going to be bringing back episodes more regularly. I did drop off a little bit, quite a few times over the last year or so. And yeah, we're back. We're back. We're better than ever. And this episode it's going to be a bit more of an intro episode. There's like 140 episodes of this podcast covering everything I could ever think of, right? However, when I started, if I think of when I started this podcast, I actually remember it perfectly. I was living in Bali could be nearly 5 years ago now. And like with anybody, 5 years is a huge amount of time for lots of things to change, for you to grow as a person, for you to change your opinions, to learn more, to get different beliefs. And I think, I don't want to call this a new season of the podcast, 'cause I'm not doing it in seasons, but I think you are going to notice that from now onwards, that maybe there'll be some differences. And I think that's been prominent with my social media all over, to be honest with you. So this episode, a little bit of an introduction. I'm going to talk a little bit about next year, my goals, what I want to do, what I want to offer. So we are back. Now, as I said, I started this podcast living in Bali. I then, as many as you will know, lived in Australia. However, I am now back home in what is, in my opinion, the best city in the world, the best people in the world. I'm living back in Manchester. So I made the decision to move back. I think I did actually do an episode on this, just quite fresh after moving home in April. And I've now been back for what? Well, it's over 6 months. So I feel really, really settled at home. I have a better structure. I have a better routine. I'm closer with my family. And one thing, and maybe this is an interesting one anyway for you to hear, is that obviously on social media you can see people living away and living by a beach and be like, oh my God, that's so amazing. But I'll be honest, I found it really difficult, as many of my friends know. I found my work-life balance over there really difficult because of time zones, because of managing my business. So part of me moving home was to get that routine and to get that structure. And I've noticed now, 6 months down the line, the such a positive impact of having that. And I think that's important to realise, is that I'm recording this now, it's the start of December. I moved home in April. Genuinely only in the last 6 to 8 weeks have I really noticed the impact that moving home and having that structure has had me in. And that translates to fitness, doesn't it? That translates to your goals, to fat loss. It's really easy to want something, to put something in place and want the result instantly. See, people do it with fat loss all the time. I moved home 7, 8 months ago, and I'm now only feeling the benefit of that structure and routine. That's only from persevering. It's only through sticking with it. That's going to be the same for all of your fitness goals. Sorry, that's a little bit of a tangent. That wasn't what I was meant to be saying. But yeah, if you are watching and you see me looking that way, it's because, another change to the podcast, I've actually decided to prep and plan. The long-term listeners will know I love winging an episode. I still will. If I have guests come on, I'm not going to order exactly what I ask them and what order I do. But again, I want to put more effort into the podcast. I want to plan things a little bit more. I want more there for you. So yeah, if you are watching and you see me do this, that's me checking my notes to make sure that I've stayed on point. Still probably will go off on tangents from time to time, because what is life without a little ADHD life tangent? But yeah, I've started to really notice I'm feeling better in myself. I have a better structure in my training with my work, and yeah, I'm really, really happy with the decision to move back home. And I think it's coincided, and I'm going to say this quietly, guys. Don't panic too much. I think it's coincided with me growing up. I know. When I started the podcast, I was 27 years old, 27, 28. I was young. And now I'm 33. I'd like to still think that is classed as young, but it's getting on a bit, isn't it? And like, just not, oh God, I hate myself for saying it, but just naturally you mature with that, and you want different things, and you start to value different things. And I've really felt that I really felt that over the last sort of 3-4 months in terms of just like my general day-to-day structure. I'm so much more appreciative. That's not a word. I appreciate training so much at the moment. At the time of recording this podcast, I'm actually injured, which is quite annoying. But the last sort of 6 months, I am in love with exercise like I've not been for a very, very long period of time. I still, as ever, am striking the balance a little bit of my numerous challenges and different things that I try and train for. But again, when I was definitely in Australia, although the culture for fitness is huge there, because of my work pattern, sleep patterns, busier social life, simply put, busier weekends, more alcohol, more going out, things like that. My training over there was nowhere near what it is at the moment. My training at the moment, I'm feeling really, really good with, and it coincides with the next big goal, which is Mount Kilimanjaro. I am climbing Kilimanjaro. I think day of my summit is due to be February the 7th. So it's an 7 days. It's a long ass walk, basically, 7 or 8 days. Any walk that is more than a day, it's a long walk, that innit? The difference with this one is it's not just a long walk, it's a long walk up. Obviously, I say I am prepared for the podcast, but I can't remember exactly the height of Kilimanjaro. But let's just say it's dead eye, right? But that's one of those things. Now, for me, my mum actually climbed Kilimanjaro 2009. And the idea was in my head ever since is that, like, if anyone's ever heard me speak about my mum's my hero, man. She's amazing. And I remember her doing it in 2009, and I was like, that's cool, that. Like, she climbed to the top of Kilimanjaro. That is incredible. And the seed was planted for me then, but I think although the seed was planted, it was one of those things that I was always like, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know. Like, that's pretty tough. And yeah, I sort of realised when I moved back home, I was like, right, realistically, the time is not, like, again, not getting any younger. Also, don't know what direction my life is going to go in terms of whether it's relationships, whether it's further down the line, children, whether it's whatever else could happen in life, right? Whereas, like, at the moment, I'm 33, I'm single, I'm fit, I'm healthy. There was no excuse. Put yourself out your comfort zone, give it a go. So I'm currently training for Kilimanjaro, which is a really weird one to train for because ultimately you can't train for altitude. There's nothing you can directly do around altitude. So I'm doing a lot of leg work, a lot of glutes, a lot of hamstring, a lot of calf work. That's an area, to be honest, my glutes particularly, they're very weak. That's the only way I can put it. Very weak. So I've been doing a lot of work on that. And just my overall fitness levels, just to try and have a really good baseline across the board. So I'm feeling very good with jiu-jitsu, with running, with strength, and putting myself in the best possible position for climbing Kilimanjaro. And this is the thing, right? I'm a big believer in this for people is set big goals. Set goals that make you think, I don't know if I can do that. Had a conversation this week with my client Sandra. Sandra, you are an absolute legend and an inspiration. And last week she did her first unassisted pull-up. Sandra set that goal a good few months ago, and as she said to me in our conversation this week, she was literally like, when I set that goal, I didn't think I could do it. That to me is exactly the sort of goal you should set. I've got another person, Amanda. She's running the Honolulu Marathon at the moment. Not right at this moment in time, sorry. She's running it this weekend. And if I'd show Amanda's story, I've lost count of the actual number, but maybe like 150 pounds, around that sort of mark, and is now going to run a marathon. A goal that felt so unachievable, but she's pushed herself so far that she can do it. I'm a big believer with that with goals. It's like when somebody comes to lose weight, don't just be like, I can lose a couple of pounds. That's not going to motivate you. Have these big goals in your mind, because I don't want to be too cliche, but I really do believe anyone can achieve anything that they really want to. And yeah, that's what Kilimanjaro is to me. I didn't want to go Kinder Scout and go for something small. If I'm doing it, I'm not going Everest, because I think that's a death wish, if I'm honest. But I feel like Kilimanjaro, that's the one. So keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be more about that as we go. But yeah, I'm a big believer in those goals. I'm a big believer in setting those big goals. And it's something that overall I want to bring into 2026 with my coach, you know. So over the last year, again, as of like, if you can't tell from what I've said there, I really struggled with the last few months in Australia and getting the balance with my work right, and burnout was just a regular thing. I'm very glad to say that I literally haven't experienced burnout with work since I left Australia, which, again, it's my own fault. It was down to trying to do too much. It was down to trying to work on different time zones, and I just had to accept that ultimately my business wasn't going in the direction I wanted it to go in, and I'm still feeling the impact of that now. Don't get me wrong, I do not regret my time living away. It was the best experience of my entire life. However, when you value certain things, it does come at the compromise of other areas. And for me, I valued the freedom, I valued the travel, but with that was compromising structure, was compromising on being able to grow my business. That's ultimately what the trade-off was for me, and loved every second of it. But now I'm moving in the other direction, is that I want the structure, I want the routine, I want to grow my business even further. And that's a big thing that I intend to do in 2026. It's why you're seeing this on YouTube now. It's why you're going to see the podcast more often. It's why, even with my coaching programs, again, as hopefully you're going to see and feel through my content, I want more out of them, and I want to offer a higher level, and I want to get people, even like, not being too big-headed, I get people pretty incredible results, but I want to get even more people, even more results. And yeah, that's all sort of coinciding into what I've experienced, I suppose, over 2025, is the more this routine and this structure and this buzz that I currently feel in myself and this excitement that I feel in myself and my own training, I really am trying to channel that and translate that and push that into my coaching programs. I've had to make a few short-term decisions that maybe aren't as, what's the word? Essentially, do you know what? I don't do gatekeeping. I'll tell you everything. I was going to run a group program early in January. I've decided against that because I would have been rushing it, and I want to make sure that that is top level. So that's something that's probably going to come in March, April time. And my one-to-one program, I'm sort of really intensifying from January and just really picking up the levels of it. And I'm excited. If you can't tell, I'm excited. So that's where things are at the moment. I'm also no longer that ginger guy on Instagram. You will notice I am Andy Chef Coaching. Again, because I want everything to come under that bracket, everything to come under my Start Simple coaching programs, under the Blueprint program. Everything's going to be in one place. And that ginger guy, if you don't know the story, was basically a name that was said as a joke, and then it just sort of stuck. And yeah, he's run his course. It's time. It is time. And I want to have that clear direction for you guys with everything. So yeah, cheers for sticking around. The podcast is back. That was a little bit of a rundown of where the last few months have been and what is coming for the future. I'm very excited. The next few episodes we're going to be talking nutrition, a little bit of a back to basics there. Same with training. And then I have some Q&A episodes coming up too, with some questions that came up with my clients, with some of you on Instagram, that we're going to go into a bit more detail. So if you do like the podcast, please follow along. Please give it a rating. Share, subscribe, all that sort of jazz. Tell your mates, tell your dogs. Have a great day. See you next time.